Welcome, Janet. I love having you on today. Thank you so much for joining us. Love to hear about how long you've been in the program and what your weight and blood numbers were like prior to joining.
Okay, I joined Homemade April 19th of this year. My weight was at 178 when I started. That is about where I have been in the past few years. I had joined Weight Watchers probably 5 years ago, and I think when I started with them, I weighed 180, and I got down to 150. And I was off all medications at that point. But obviously when that quit, I got tired of doing the points and counting the calories and all that stuff. And I went back to eating the old way again. And so the weight came back up. I was not diagnosed as pre-diabetic until this past January. They always said I was on the borderline. So I think he tried to scare me into it and say, okay, you are pre-diabetic. And he put me on metformin for a while. And then about 3 months after that, in fact, it was about the time that I joined Homemade. He said, I think you're doing well enough that you don't have to be on the metformin. He said, let's see if we can just do it with diet. So I haven't been on metformin all that time since I've been in Homemade. My cholesterol and triglycerides have always been high. So I'm on medication for that. But I am now off of all over-the-counter supplements. I'm not taking calcium. I'm not taking a multivitamin. I'm not taking probiotics anymore. And I'm down to just one blood pressure pill, and that keeps that well. I think my average right now is like 123 over 75 daily. And I check my blood daily, and it's averaging 114, which he was thrilled at, because when I started with the blood, when he said I was pre-diabetic, it was 6.2, and now it's down to 5.7. So that is doing good, and I'm very happy about that. What else?
That's amazing. Yeah, it's an amazing start. I love hearing that your A1C is down, your blood sugars are dropping as well. You're getting off medication. Even though your triglycerides are still high, it sounds like that's been an issue for a while. So it's going to take a little bit of time in order to start to lower them through.
And I'm still on medication for the triglycerides and cholesterol. He wants me to stay on. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're doing an amazing job. I mean, you've already had such great success, and it's been what, 5 months since you've joined the program. So really huge strides you're making. I'm talking about this, and you're doing it without counting points, without being super intent on every little thing putting in your body, having it match up with some certain number. You're eating for nourishment and satisfaction. It's definitely an easier route and more enjoyable.
Yes.
Yeah. We're happy that you're seeing these amazing results. Thanks for sharing. I'd love to talk a little bit about how you've gotten these results. What has your journey been like? Let's start a little bit with what your cooking was like prior to the program, including your time in Weight Watchers, and we'll segue into what it's like now.
Well, I'm a prodigy of farm background. My mother was a home ec teacher, and so she taught me to cook. But the way they were teaching back then, she's 102 now, and the way they taught back then was to do a lot of casseroles, meat and potatoes, corn, all that kind of stuff. We did not have hardly any raw vegetables. She was just not a fan of them, and neither was my father, so we didn't eat them. So that has been a big thing to begin with, because I was not a salad eater. I can eat it, it wasn't something that I craved, and I would order when I went to a restaurant. But that was about it. My husband has a hard time eating lettuce. He got sick on it not too long ago from a restaurant that we had, and so I said, I don't want any more lettuce. And so the lettuce that I get, I have not bought, bulk lettuce of any kind. I buy them in the packs that are already made up, the spring mix or the 50-50 with the spinach or something like that. And I get along much better with that for myself. And I catch myself putting more stuff on my salad than greens. So just like today, for instance, I was craving roasted vegetables. So I did 2 big trays of roasted vegetables, which he doesn't like roasted vegetables, but it's hard for me, even after I roast them, to even get them in a container to put them in the refrigerator, because I stand there and pick and eat them the whole time. But I said, that's good, that's the kind of thing I'm craving rather than sweets. We ate a lot of bread, a lot of sandwiches. I was always using canned soups to cook, especially with casseroles. I think I've used canned soup twice since I've joined homemade.
Wow.
So that's doing good. The Weight Watchers deal, that was, you hated to go to the meetings because you knew you had to weigh in.
Yeah.
And, you tried to watch what you ate 2 days before you went to your weekly meeting, and you tried to wear as least amount of clothes as you could. And, and it got old keeping track of points, so I didn't do that, but I've just really had to change a lot. And he's not willing to get rid of a lot of the stuff that he really liked. He still likes the fried foods. We did do fried green tomatoes this week because we had them, and so we did fix that. But he got 4 or 5 pieces, and I got 1. So I'm trying to justify, and if he wants something that I know I shouldn't have, that night I'll usually fix a salad, and I'll put salmon on it or grilled chicken or something like that. And that satisfies me, and I'm not picking at anything after supper. So that's good.
That's amazing. Well, it sounds like you've made a huge transformation. And even if you're enjoying fried green tomatoes, which I will say I'm a huge fan of as well, you're eating a smaller amount of the fried green tomatoes, and you're still enjoying the food you love without feeling guilty about it, and understanding that if you enjoy something like that, you're also going to enjoy like a nice luscious green salad that has tons of toppings and things that you feel like you're not eating like rabbit food. You're eating like a bountiful meal that's full of sustenance with like something like salmon. So I love hearing that. Sounds like, and even if your husband is not necessarily 100% on board, he's trying. It sounds like he's trying some of these new things. Even if roasted vegetables isn't his jam, and he still loves his fried food, there are ways that you're figuring out to incorporate both of the things you want into a meal, so you're not constantly having to juggle his meal, your meal, and then meeting somewhere in the middle when they're both ready and trying to sit down and eat.
Yeah. And I recently purchased an Instant Pot too.
Oh, exciting.
Whole new experience.
And how's that going?
Good. The other night I asked him if he would have shrimp, and because I wanted to try shrimp in the Instant Pot. And he said, well, yeah, but his idea of shrimp is deep fried. And I said, I'm not going to do it that way. I said, we're going to try it.
Yeah.
And so we did that and had it over brown rice and black beans. It was a packaged rice and beans, and it was a little bit too spicy for both of us. But it's thing that, we'd be better off with wild rice or something like that. But at least he's trying. And I'm trying to get him over to the basic oatmeal in the morning. And he's fasted many weeks, and all the sugars, and so I'm gradually getting over to it, and I have to learn I can't put chia seeds in his. He doesn't like that texture in there. It's too thick. And so I cooked the whole batch and I put some in a bowl for him and put what I know he would like in there. And then I load mine up with whatever I want. So that
Yeah. You're making them customizable. That's great. I mean, that's a huge, you can do that with so many different meals. It's just a matter of,
right.
like keeping like, okay, I can make a base that everyone will like, and then toppings can be more individualized towards whatever someone is craving or,
Right.
someone wants and maybe isn't ready for something like chia seeds.
Yeah.
Um, but it
And
sounds,
if he wants like a grilled steak for supper, I'm not a steak lover in the first place. So
mhm,
when I grill his steak, I'll grill a chicken breast or something for me, and then I can use that on my salads. So
perfect. That's awesome. Wonderful.
I, I'm not very good at coming up with meal ideas.
Yeah.
I read everybody's post under the sun that posts on here, and it takes
Yeah.
all day. I mean, literally, you can just spend all day on there. And I
You
don't know how you
can.
do it. But, it's just, I think, oh, that was a good idea, and I'll do a screen print or screenshot of it and save it in my photos. And then I never get back to it.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
I'm just like today, I got the roasted vegetables and I thought, now what am I going to do for supper? Well, I know he wanted potato pancakes for supper and fried naturally. And so I said, okay, you'll get your potato pancakes. I'll get my salad, and I'll fix you something in the meantime too with the green tomatoes or something with it. But it's just, I'm one of the ladies commented just recently that she catches herself doing the same meals over and over. And I'm doing
Yes,
that.
I saw that.
I,
Yeah.
and I kind of laugh because I think Anna said at one time when they were talking about ingredients in food, she said, if you can't pronounce it, don't get it. Well, that's why I am with foods. I see some of those foods that people put on there and you ladies that cook all this stuff. And I thought, if I can't pronounce it, I'm not going to cook it. So.
Totally. It can be really intimidating to start like exploring with different ingredients, especially if it's produce that you're not sure how to prepare. I know that like, things that aren't necessarily weren't in my wheelhouse growing up. Once I started tasting them when they were prepared deliciously with like lots of other like amazing fresh herbs or beautiful seasonings and spices, I slowly became like, oh, that's something that I maybe can make. This isn't that challenging or isn't that scary anymore because I've been introduced to it in a way that I'm like, this is delicious. I've never eaten it in that manner. So yeah, it's definitely intimidating at first, but I will say the more you explore, even just trying like one new vegetable or fruit, like
Mhm.
every week or two, is a great way to broaden your horizon. And you never know when you're going to stumble upon something like this is amazing. Why haven't I been eating this my whole life?
Right, right.
And I will also say eating in season really helps. So if you're in
Yes,
an area that has like gorgeous peaches this time of year, or corn, or tomatoes, or zucchini, like all of those beautiful summer
right,
vegetables, you find something that's grown more locally to yourself,
right.
and try that. Then it's going to taste so different than if you try it 6 months from now when it's being shipped from maybe even in another country and sitting in the back of the truck,
Right.
refrigerated, frozen for a while. So I would encourage you, if you're feeling stuck in the same holding pattern of trying, like it sounds like you've got roasted veggies down pat and like you love it, you crave it. That's
Yeah.
amazing. But it sounds like you're kind of stuck in the cycle of like, well, I'm not sure what to eat, so I'll try a salad. Um, Thinking about referring back to the whole grain module and just saying like, maybe I'll make a batch of whole grains once a week. So you have like a bunch of brown rice or quinoa or black rice or wild rice,
Mhm.
amaranth, polenta. There's so many different options to choose from. And
Mhm.
just making a big batch that you can like take a little bit out and mix it in with your shrimp from your instant pot and your roasted veggies and maybe some beans that you prepare yourself. Who knows? And that instant pot happens pretty quick with beans. It can be something fun to explore, and it won't be as spicy as something that's prepackaged. I will also say the sodium is going to be way lower, and you can flavor them how you want. So something that could be fun to explore.
Yeah, grains is something that I really need to work on, because neither of us are lovers of rice, and we've only had quinoa once. And so I still have a package out there, and I may add that to something just to try to spice up something, just to see if I like it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds good. It sounds like that's something that, like, I would say, I'm not super familiar with Instant Pots, but I know that they have settings for almost everything. So it could be something to explore there with your new fun kitchen toy. I know I'm like such a kitchen not even appliance, kitchen tool nerd. I love getting a new tool and like exploring with it. It makes cooking fun.
Right.
And so just exploring that and trying to just refer back to the homemade recipes whenever you're feeling stuck. Because it might not be the exact recipe that you replicate at home that day. But let's say you have like, oh, I've got a bunch of radishes and I have carrots and I have some nuts on hand. Like maybe I'll make a slaw that's kind of similar to something in the salad module. It can be something like that. It can be inspiration. So I just want to encourage you, because getting stuck on the Facebook page, oh my goodness, I could read all those posts. I mean, I do read them for hours, but it's like you just go in there, you dive in, and you can be there for a while. So I would say refer back to the homemade recipes to help you stay focused and inspired.
Yeah.
And yeah, keep spicing up those salads. And
I'm learning to like salads a lot more, that's for sure. And
that's so great.
Yeah, I love roasted vegetables on it much more than the raw vegetables.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just so much more depth and flavor.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yes, 100%.
And I like to put fresh strawberries or blueberries on it too. Something sweet along with all the other. So,
oh yeah. I love doing that as well. Like some stone fruit in there, especially right now, like peaches and nectarines, plums. Oh, it makes me salivate just thinking about it. Oh, well, I'd love to talk a little bit about your mindset in just approaching the program. Like, have you found the mindset part of the program to be helpful? And if so, how? Love to hear a little bit about your journey with that.
I would say it's definitely helpful. I think when you diet, then you're talking about having things taken away from you that you can't have anymore. And when Anna said, don't feel guilty, about what you're eating. If you want to enjoy something, go ahead and enjoy it, forget about it, and go on and eat healthy after that. And I think that has helped more than anything, to not put the guilt on myself just because I wanted something that I was craving at the time, or we went out to eat and I know this specific food at this place is really good and that's what I want. And I thought, okay, go ahead and eat it. You don't have to eat all of it, or just eat as much as makes me full and not, or satisfied, I should say, not full. So that has helped tremendously.
Cool. I'm really happy to hear that. I mean, it's like, I feel like a lot of people, maybe it takes them a while to learn how to listen to their bodies, but it's such a vital part of the program. And I mean, it is a lifelong lesson. It's not something you just learn once. I think that I continue to learn it on a daily basis as well. But I'm happy that it sounds like you're able to check in, and even if you're eating out.
Well, I know my husband says, I'll be glad when this diet is over. I said, I hate to tell you, but it's not going to be over. I said, this is changing the way I eat for the rest of my life. So, that's, he's got to learn to live with that.
Yeah.
And he needs to lose weight too. So, that's why I'm trying to get things worked into it. Sometimes I can sneak stuff into it, without him knowing it. I saw one poor lady that was having trouble with hers, and she says, but he's standing here watching me cook. And I thought, yeah, at least I don't have to worry about that. But I thought that's hard when you're trying to put things in the food that you know will be good for them, and yet they really don't want it in there, but they don't know that.
Yeah, it can be really hard, especially, I mean, you are doing this not just for yourself, but also for his health.
Right,
And of course, that is like a labor of love to show up every day and
right,
cook something you're like, I know that this is going to be good for you. You may not love it yet, but know that we support you in doing that and are appreciative that you're working towards both of your
yeah,
health goals, whether your husband realizes that it is
right.
a goal. It's amazing that you're doing that. And you're also like, you're listening to his requests. And, if he wants fried green tomatoes, you are still making those, but you're
Yeah,
incorporating some more veggies on the side
right,
that are,
right.
you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It can be really daunting to try to change someone that's been a certain way for so long, has these habits that have been established for years. While you're also trying to change yourself, obviously,
Right,
if you want to change so bad, it takes time and energy and a lot of effort. So also trying to churn the wheel for someone that's digging their heels in
right.
it's very admirable. You're doing
Yeah, thank you.
job. Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh, you're definitely not alone, like you just said. Someone stands over them while they're cooking dinner so they can't even sneak in some extra zucchini or something into their meatballs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky. Um, well, I love hearing that you understand that this is not just a diet, it is a lifestyle, and getting your husband on board with that. It will happen eventually, and even if he's,
Well, I know it took me 2 years to lose the weight in Weight Watchers.
yeah,
And if I've already lost half of what I need in the first 5 months, I know I'm doing something right.
absolutely. What's the total number of weight you've lost?
16 so far.
16 pounds.
And,
That's
and I
fantastic.
have I have 15 to 20 to go yet where I want to be,
Totally.
where I know I
Yeah.
feel.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, you're doing it without dieting. You're doing it
Mhm.
by, avoiding eating a ton of processed food. But still eating some food that you want that may not be like 100% unprocessed, but it
Right.
is more nourishing than what you were eating before.
Oh yeah.
Are you noticing that your clothes are fitting differently?
Oh yeah. But I have
Yeah.
four boxes of clothes that are stored away that are 4 different sizes. So it's like going shopping again. When I get down to something that's too big, then I say, okay, time to open the next box.
Let's
So
That's great. That must feel really satisfying to see that visual of just being like, okay,
right, right.
I get to move down a size. That's great. I love that. Um, and then you mentioned that your A1C has dropped.
Hmm.
And you're still on cholesterol medicine. You're still on blood pressure medicine. So those are things that
Right.
we're working towards. Those are some of your health goals, is to reduce those so you can get off the medication,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
I think that, I mean, a few more months to go, and I think that you're going to see some significant changes,
Yeah.
specifically if you continue with just working on your small goals in a daily manner. I mean, you said you've done this just by, you haven't even, really dove into like a ton of different recipes. It sounds like
Yeah.
in the same holding patterns.
No. And the other thing that's helped too is the exercising. I've been
Yeah.
walking 2 miles a day for 5 days a week for the last 2 months.
Wow.
And that's going to help tremendously. I hate to see winter come because I have
Oh,
to drive into town to go to a walking track or something when it comes winter time. But
yeah. Do you live a place that it snows?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
big
Okay.
time. We're in Northern Illinois, so
Oh, yes. It was so cold.
yeah.
Right on. Well, let's game plan. I would love to chat later with you about maybe some ways that we can incorporate movement still, because I love that you are moving 5 days a week. That is huge. That is a lot of exercise, especially, you're outside too, which I know that in the winter you may not be able to be outside.
Mhm.
You're getting all that beautiful vitamin D from the sunshine that you're getting when you're outside, which is not only improving your calcium uptake. So I heard you don't take supplements anymore. You don't need to in the sunshine and you're eating a healthy diet. Absolutely. Yeah. Even if you do have osteoporosis or some bone decay, it's
no, I don't have that, thankfully.
That's so fantastic. Vitamin, but most women, I would say most women do. Like, vitamin D will help that calcium uptake, keep your bones healthy and strong, and so you can keep moving forward and continue to cook up a storm. So
I just need to get more creative in my cooking.
Exactly. So you know what? I love to play this little game when I cook because I, unfortunately, even with my career in food and nutrition, so many times I don't plan when I'm cooking for dinner. So what I try to do is in the morning, I'll peek in my fridge and see what we have. And whatever we have in there, like let's say we have three different vegetables. We've got a protein that I'll take out of the freezer. And I have several grains in my pantry, which is right here. And I play this little game like Chopped. Have you ever heard of that TV show? Chopped? Have you ever heard of Chopped, the TV show, where they hide the ingredients in the basket and then they have like 15 minutes, 20 minutes to make a meal out of them?
Right.
I play this game where I'm like, okay, it's dinner time. I know that I had these ingredients. And I open up my fridge and open my pantry and I'm like, I'm going to make this, this, and this. And the first thing that comes to my head is what I make. And if you do that enough times, I would say after a week or two of doing that, you start coming up with some really inventive ideas and they start tasting really delicious because you get an idea of like, okay, this vegetable and this grain go really well with this flavor profile. So I'm going to include some fresh herbs like parsley and dill, and I'm going to include some spices like sesame seeds and turmeric. It's kind of a crazy combination, but you see what I mean with that? It's just play and treat it like it's something that you get to enjoy and be creative with. I think the more that you'll be inspired to be creative in the kitchen.
Yeah, and that's the fresh herbs is something I haven't gotten into at all yet. I bought parsley one day and it sat in the refrigerator until I had to throw it away.
Oh, shoot. I will say this. I always have parsley in my fridge. And if I see that it's starting to go a little bit south, because I haven't been using it enough, I always make it into like a green, like salsa-like concoction. Will say that I always put parsley in my salads. I try to top it with any sort of like anything that I'm making that like could use just a little bit of punch and needs more greens in it. I'll toss it on top of there, just chop it up fine and toss it on top. But when I see it starting to wilt, I will toss it in my food processor with olive oil, garlic, salt, and a little bit of red wine vinegar and a dash of lemon. 5 ingredients, super simple, and makes it kind of like a chimichurri, which is actually from Argentina, and tastes delicious on almost everything.
Wow. I'll have to try that because I haven't made any homemade dressings. So.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! I'll follow up with that recipe. It's literally just 5 ingredients. So simple and it's fun to make. You toss everything in the food processor, you hit on, it whips it up, and then you just spoon it. I spoon it on like almost any protein that we get. It tastes good on fish, steak, and chicken, which I feel like is kind of a feat because those are very different flavors. I put it on like if I'll make a batch of chickpeas, I'll put it on there. It tastes great on sweet potatoes. It just adds this like super savory, acidic punch. And you can also toss it in salads as a salad dressing because it has all the ingredients that a salad dressing normally would: olive oil, and acid, and then some kind of seasoning. So
I know when it got low on the parsley, I thought, well, what I can do, and I did chop some up and mixed it or put it in the ice cube trays and then put water on top of it. So I still have the frozen cubes of that in my freezer. I haven't used it yet.
That's fine. That's amazing. That is a brilliant plan. You can even go one step further and like just chop it up and put olive oil in it and then freeze it as well. So it's just in case you don't want to add as much liquid. But I mean, that's also a brilliant plan.
Does the olive oil freeze?
The olive oil will freeze, yeah. So you
Okay.
can turn it in there, and it what I recommend doing with these is like getting little silicone molds. Don't freeze it like in a big ice tray because that's a lot of olive oil and a lot of
Right.
parsley. So if you freeze them in smaller containers, like just little coin size situations, you can pop one out and just like toss it in a sauce or even toss it in your pan and cook with that. I do that with basil a lot because basil is finicky unless it's fresh picked that day. It goes bad immediately. So I definitely do do that a lot with basil. If I'm not even just if I can't take the time to make like a pesto, which is like just three other ingredients besides the olive oil. So yeah, there's so many things to do. I'm so excited for you. I feel like you're gonna dive right in, and you just all you have to do is just keep on referring back to those recipes. You're doing a great job already. You've lost half the amount of weight that you're interested in losing, and you've only been in the program for 5 months. It took you 2 years to lose your weight, your goal weight in Weight Watchers, and you've already done half of it in 5 months, which is huge. I mean, if you think about that time wise, like it's half the time
Right.
on a diet, and that diet was miserable. So to enjoy your roasted veggies, continue to work on your husband. You're doing such a fantastic job. Um, I can't wait to see what you're going to post next. Maybe something different. Who knows? Maybe you'll work some grains in. But continue to check in with us. That's what we're here for. And I just want to say thank you so much for your time today.
Well, I just really appreciate you ladies so much. I mean, you just respond immediately to people when they post anything. I mean, it's like you're sitting right there waiting for somebody to say something and say, oh, I got the answer for that, and it's just, I'm amazed at how professional all of you are and, how supportive everybody is in the group. I'm not sure how some of them, if they're counselors, if they're just members, like Lorna Reddish and Janice and Bell and some of those, that are posting a lot. I don't know if they're just members or if they're counselors or if they're just super smart.
They're members and they've been in the program for over a year, and it just goes to show that when people stick around and they spend the time to like really dive into the recipes and the principles, like it makes such a huge difference, not only for their health, but for their ability to support other members within the program. And yeah, they're just members. That's wow. It's something that goes to show. Yeah. You spend all this time working on your own health, you're able to really show up for others. And we're so grateful for them and for all of our members. There's a huge community of support and love, not only just around, what you're going to eat that day or how you felt when you ate something that you shouldn't, and, working through these feelings of guilt and all of that. But there's so much more, people have real life situations going on, and everyone shows up big time for those. So we're super grateful, and encourage everyone to keep on checking in. That is the way that we can support you. If you check in with us, we will be here for you. So yeah, wonderful. Well, Janet, thank you so much for your time today. Have a fantastic rest of your afternoon. I so appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you cook up next.
Well, thank you so much. It's been enjoyable.